Hello everyone. How is everyone doing today? I hope everybody is great. It is Friday, August 15th. Can you believe it's already August? I just can't believe it. My daughter started school yesterday, middle school. Hello everybody, how are you? Thank you so much for joining me today. Sorry about that. Hello. Just trying to make sure all this technology is good. Thank you so much. I'm gonna wait a few minutes and see if who else is going to sign on. I'm so excited to see you. Hello, Mrs. Norway World. How are you? So glad to see you today. I'm so excited about my show today. This is going to be amazing. This woman has touched my heart. I've only spoken to her a couple of times, and she has definitely touched my heart, and I hope and know that she will touch yours as well. Hi. I'm so glad that all of you are spending this time with me this morning, this afternoon, wherever it is where you are around the world. I am in Colorado, so it is mountain time, so it's 10 a.m. here. And I was just saying that I'm just so excited about this show today and who I'm going to be speaking with. And I guess we're just going to get started. So I don't have any technical problems. Everything seems to be doing really great right now, and I'm kind of really excited. So I just want to welcome you to Changes, the Transition of Grace. This is, I am MRS.GLOBE Classique 2019. My reign will be coming to an end very, very soon. And I am here to talk about basically the changes that you have when you reach a certain age. The classique age is what we say, which is pretty much 45 and above. And I've noticed that some people, as they reach these ages, that they're decide they change and they wear different hats. You go from mother to wife. You're a mother, you're a wife, and you have all of these roles, and then you reach this age, and whether you become an empty nester or you are still a mother of young children because you started your family late, as myself, you discover some soul searching and some things that you have questions about when you reach a certain age. And it's always nice to know that somebody else is going through that as well, whatever topic that may be. And we've discussed skin, we've discussed caring for your parent, we've discussed a loss of a parent, we have discussed all kinds of things that are a little bit muted that people don't like to talk about, and some people out there just think that they're just doing it all alone. So it's nice to be able to share ideas and takeaways from other people that have gone through this too, and to know that you're not alone. Especially as you get older, and even if you are an empty nester, you do kind of feel like you're alone, and things change and things are different. Your body, your hormones, your way of thinking, all of that changes. So I just want to introduce to you today. I'm going to be sharing. This is basically going to be a topic of a new life calling, something that happens as you get older. You have this career, you've worked really hard for this career, and then you reach a certain age and you just think, maybe I should be doing something else, or something is calling me to do something else, or you manifest something that you've wanted to do your whole life, and it doesn't happen until later. So my guest today, she is an author of Defending Innocence. I am not good without my glasses, so sorry. Defending Innocence, which is this amazing book about her basically using her faith and finding her faith to take care of her parents. And it's basically a later calling that she did, that she discovered later in life to become an author. And I've always wanted to write a book, but I'm a little hesitant to do it. And this amazing woman has done it. Her name is CHERYL CROFOOT-KNAPP. And she was a former Mrs. Minnesota Globe, 2003 and 2004. And she is an amazing, delightful woman. And I cannot wait for you to meet her. And I am going to connect her now. And here we go. Let's welcome CHERYL. Hello, CHERYL. see if she's on there. Let's see. Oh, she's connecting. I'm so excited. I have so many questions to ask her, and I know she is going to definitely share some amazing finding faith, finding you, helping your parents, being a mother of older children. She has, and all of that. So this should be a very exciting interview. And I'm still trying to get her connected. So we will do a sidebar and talk about some other things. Anybody out there have any, like right now, just have any questions about their career, and maybe they're thinking that they should change their career and pursue something else, but a little hesitant and maybe don't think that they'll be able to do it? Come on, write those comments in as I'm trying to connect Miss Cheryl here. Oh, she's unable to join. Okay, well, we'll just keep going. Hopefully she'll request again. Anybody out there? Andrea, I see that you're on, and you have a great name, by the way. Have a great name. Do you, just as you get older, did you think of anything that maybe you should change your career or your life path, or, you know, change in relationships? Anything like that? There's Sid6. Hi there, Sid6. How are you? Nice to see that you've signed on. And there's lots of other people waving. Oh, and Andrea says yes, she did have a change in career. Oh, there's some more people joining. Hi from Singapore, Sid6, it's so nice to see you. My goodness, what time is it in Singapore? Is it, I don't even know what time it is in Singapore. It's gotta be nighttime. So we're on the other side of the mountain, the world. So as she's trying to connect again, so this is good. I have been doing some soul searching too, and it's trying to connect, Cheryl. I think you're unable to join. No, all you need to do is press that little button, Cheryl. That's all you need to do. Just press the little button after I let you into the room. Oh, so Andrea said she went from human resources to a life change, and it totally changed her direction. That is amazing. And sometimes it takes something to kind of hit you in the face to decide that maybe you need to do this life change, and it was the best thing that you ever probably did. Hey, there she is. Look at that beautiful smile.
There I am. All of a sudden, it's scary. Oh,
it is scary. It is scary. I was shaking as I was like trying to get on. It is scary, and that's the only thing that's really scary is trying to get on, right?
Well, we've made it, and my husband set up. My phone is set up on. Actually, it was my dad's mic stand. He used to play guitar until he couldn't remember anymore. That's a story I could share, but it's trying to flop a little bit. So if you suddenly lose me, I will pick it back up. But I like to speak with my hands. So anyway, hi, Andrea, and everybody tuning in
it's
today.
So good to see you. I was telling them that we had connected before, and that you certainly have touched my heart and my soul, and you have this amazing story of a life change and a career addition. So much has happened in your life. I wanted to see that. Why is it that you labeled this book? I said defiant, which was silly, but defeated innocence. I'm like, defiant. That's my child.
You must know me better than you think you do.
I'm like somewhere else. But I mean, defeated innocence. What a deep soul title that you had there. Just kind of, where did you get that idea?
Well, I might be changing it to undefeated caregiver. But for right now, how it became Undefeated Innocence is as I saw my mom in particular going through her Alzheimer's journey, just so that the people who are listening, first I lost Dad to Alzheimer's in 2010, and then I became my mom's primary caregiver, and she passed of Alzheimer's in 2016. Mm-hmm. And so I went on this journey of knowing that God is involved in everything that impacts our life. And so I was on a mission to find out where is God is all in Alzheimer's. So I started reading through the Beatitudes and Fruit of the Spirit, combining them, and then relating it to primarily my mom's experience. And Alzheimer's is a disease that you lose decades of memory at a time in reverse order. So I thought, we're born innocent in God's eyes. Mom kept reverting back to her decades. I got her back to teen years and talking about boys and wanting to go out drinking with boys, and how she sure hopes that Eugene doesn't try to make her smoke because she'll never ever smoke. And I'm giggling because she smoked like a maniac for about 2 decades, but she couldn't remember that. So I learned that I could relate to her at the decade that she was in. But we're born innocent and we die innocent, and that's where the title came from.
That's
so for Mom, it was undefeated innocence. So it was in honor of her journey.
Well, it must have been pretty awesome to kind of hear how she was as a child, because she became, or as a teen, because that was her personality. And of course, you weren't around then.
We had actually found her diary. It's here in the house somewhere. I live in the house my parents built. Thus, the thing that I've got my phone on to do this. When I realized that I could start chronicling decades, I mean, I encourage anybody that's on an Alzheimer's journey with a loved one, start asking them exactly what you said. Delve into the decade that they're in. And I realized I was going to do that. She was in the hospital at the time, and she never made it out of the hospital. It was a hospital error, and I won't go into that, but it was a tough end to a tough journey. But I wanted to explore that more with her. We saw her in the early years of being a mom, because she would ask me, well, you're Cheryl, but where are my daughters? Where are they? Your dad, or their dad said that he was going to be bringing them home. And I'm thinking, okay, what do I do with this? And I had to just learn how to relate to where she was. And that was one of the key things that I eventually learned through several different things during the caregiving journey, is that we can't fit, here's an old saying, you can't fit a square peg in a round hole. And I was trying to get Mom to fit into my world, and realizing, no, I have to fit into hers, whether it's understanding the decades of her life, or, the situation where she was asking the nurses, where's there a bar? My girlfriends are going to be coming over here, and, we're going to pick up boys. And I'm going to hear.
How do you not smile and giggle at something like that, where you're like, oh my gosh, stop.
It was, well, and then another humor story that I actually put in my book. Here's
I ordered it, by the way.
That's my mom on the cover.
Oh.
But she called me up, and I talked to her every day, and sometimes she would also call, so we might have 2-3 phone calls in a day. And Mom said, well, I need some more toothpaste. And I was pretty convinced I had just bought her some toothpaste. So I said, well, Mom, after we go to church and we're dropping you off, let's go. I'll check, and if we need some, I'll get you some. So then Sunday came, and I went into her medicine cabinet, and there was the full tube of toothpaste that I'd gotten for her. So I said, Mom, do you keep your toothpaste anywhere else? And very quietly and methodically, she walked into her bedroom, she opened up her dresser drawer, and there it was in the same cardboard carton. She always kept things, whether it was aspirin, Tylenol, toothpaste, she always kept those stupid little cartons. So here's this carton in her underwear drawer that she used to always keep things. See, my theory on that is because she was convinced that people were stealing her things, because, she couldn't remember where they were, but she was convinced that people were stealing things. So my first thought was, well, that's smart. Nobody's going to steal her toothpaste out of her underwear drawer. But it was a turning point moment for me. And again, anybody that's caregiving or impacted by dementia in the family or with someone they know, that was that moment where I realized, I looked at Mom, and because I asked her, is that where you want to keep your toothpaste, Mom? She said, yes. And I said, well, okay. I literally put my hands out in the, spread my arms out. And I realized there's nothing wrong with storing her toothpaste in her underwear drawer.
Right.
That's mom's world. I have to enter into hers.
Hmm. And how long did it take you to figure that out, that you needed
We
to
were
do that?
Yeah, we were probably, a year plus or year or two into that journey of where it really was significant.
Wow.
She started in senior living. She lived in the house here alone after dad died,
Mhm.
and she was losing so much weight. She thought it was okay to her whole either she was forgetting. There was that option, but I would ask her what she had eaten in it. So like a half a can of Campbell's soup and maybe, and a half a can of peaches,
Hmm.
and she was really losing weight. And she was sinking into depression again. And I said, Mom, we need to change this up. And so my husband and I, just accidentally stumbled upon the senior living development about a half an hour away. Just accidental,
Just accidentally.
And we just accidentally went up to the door, but we did accidentally and unexpectedly. One of the directors there happened to be there. Her name's Nancy,
Mhm.
and it was Easter Sunday, and she showed us around.
Mm.
And Mom said, well, maybe in 6 months I'd consider living here. Well,
Hmm.
Nancy had another plan and invited her over for their monthly birthday celebration and invited Mom to help pour coffee. And she went, and it had turned to, excuse me, it went from maybe in 6 months I'll consider it to how soon can I move in? So she started in senior living, and then um, she started to struggle there, and we knew that she needed more care, and so we brought her into assisted living. And then it got to the point, her final weeks in assisted living, they kindly asked us it was time to
Yeah.
have her in a secure portion of the facility. They didn't have room there at the time. But she was starting to pound one night at midnight, and they had it on tape, and she was pounding on doors, going door to door until she could get in. And so she'd start um, grabbing the doorknobs and trying to open the person's room. Well, she finally got in
Um,
one resident's room. This poor woman had just moved in like within the
oh
week,
no.
sound asleep, and Mom goes in, and apparently she starts screaming at this woman, stares at her, and says, "I know my husband's dead, but what did you do with his body?" And
Oh
so,
my goodness.
yeah, and there was another time
Scary.
where she was convinced that her parents had called her, and it was for being down here. It still was fairly cold, and she only went down, we think, in slippers and her nightshirt, but she
Uh-huh.
was convinced that she was going to go out and meet her parents, who of course had died decades earlier,
Yeah.
and got locked out. And that was really one of the reasons that we
You needed
decided,
to.
no, we need to up the care for her. But I wouldn't trade the journey for anything. I mean, God was so faithful in showing me His grace and showing
Mhm.
Mom His grace, being able to really dive into the impact of the Holy Spirit in my life, the impact of that. God really does, I hate to say, He doesn't control us like puppets, obviously,
Mhm.
um, but He's willing to step in with
Mhm.
everything. We just have to be willing to see what He's trying to tell us. So I would do it all over again.
Yeah, it seemed like you almost even got to know her better and became a lot closer to her, you
Very
know?
definitely, very definitely. I had health problems when I was a kid, and so Mom was always pretty protective and watched over me.
Hmm.
And so I got to do that for
For
her.
her.
I did before before we had really isolated Dad's Alzheimer's.
Mhm.
Mom and I were doing a little paddle boating on this little man-made little creek up in northern Minnesota, and she started sharing a lot with me. And one thing that she shared, fortunately, it's very tragic, but she shared with me that when she was 7 years old, the man that her mother was having an affair with molested her in the bathtub.
Oh no. She
And
must have
that
kept that to herself for a while.
I don't, yeah, she
Yeah.
had never told my sister. I don't think she told anybody but
Hmm.
me.
Hmm.
And that was a God thing because when hospital error, fell and broke her hip, and she had to have a catheter in, and they had to readjust it. And I happened to be there with her. These were her 5 days. The fall resulted in her death. But they had to readjust her catheter. And because I knew what age she was back to the decades, I knew that she was a young teenager in her mind, so close to the point of being able to remember that molestation. And so it was a God moment, because I couldn't have figured it out any other way, but I knew that it was God and God alone that did that. But the nurses were there, and Mom was starting to get a little anxious, and I said, just be patient here. Just take it slow with Mom. And so then I just held my mom's head in my hands, and I said, Mama, it's just a nurse. She's going to help you medically, and it's okay. I'm right here, Mom. I'm your daughter, Cheryl, and this is okay for her to touch you. So then, right afterwards, then I talked to the nurse outside the room, and I said, Mom was molested when she was 7 or 8. That's close to the age she's at. And I said, please pass that on, write it in her record. It first came up during a psychiatrist meeting. I had my sister on the phone, and so she could hear kind of what was going on. And the doctor said, is there anything else that you think I need to know about your mom? And I paused, and I thought, I'm going to have to tell her secret. And so I told him, and my sister and I were crying, because I said, Lori, you never knew that, did you? She said, no, she didn't. So I would have been fully comfortable if that secret had gone to my grave with me. But as she told me, I was able to help care for her because I knew.
Yeah, because can you imagine what would have happened, with the nurse
if
you had,
out. Oh, it would have been horrible.
Yeah.
So there were various times like that where like her blood pressure would be over 200 because she couldn't make sense of her world. So my husband, Chuck, and I were constantly trying to help her weave in and out of a disease that was very, very difficult. Even I watched what she did to try to do her laundry. She wanted there to be something she could still do. And so she methodically wrote down all the steps, the time she put the laundry in, the time that she checked it, the time it needed to be out. All she needed to remember is where her list was. So yes,
and she had to, she wrote it all down and then had to remember where she put it. I have that problem, and
you're too young.
No, I walk into a room and go, why am I here? This is crazy. So, not to make light of it, but I call it halfheimers.
Yes, I know.
I'm like, oh my gosh, what is wrong with me? But you just start to think about other things as you're doing other things, and your mind's going in different clusters, right?
Absolutely. And it doesn't get better, Andrea. It doesn't.
Great. Now that I'm 48, it doesn't get better. Great. That just
62. But once you get into the 60s, you graduate into the 60s, then you can use that as a really good excuse, and people just write it off as saying, oh, she's getting on in years. Okay.
Oh, I'm not looking forward to that at all.
You're going to be just as beautiful at 62 as you are at 45 or 48. So
it's called Botox.
Oh, well, I did some some dermaplaning. I don't do the Botox thing, but I did some of the planing a few days ago, and I like that.
You are glowing, by the way, because we did chat about that. So what made you decide, after you did this journey with her, did you wait a while after she had passed and kind of went through the whole grief process, and then decide, I'm going to write a book and share this story with others so they can learn from it as well?
Those are two great questions. The book actually started when we moved down here in October of 2013. Well, my husband retired from his radio career. You and I were talking about that the other day. But we moved down here the first summer, so summer of 2014, we both went up to our cabin in Wisconsin and stayed there. We had someone from one of the home care medical help Home Instead Senior Care is fabulous. Here's a free plug for them. They're just wonderful. But we had someone that was kind of our hands and feet for Mom while we were up there. But as things continued to progress, we knew in summer of 15 that I needed to stay down here. We were now legal guardians, and we needed one of us here. And so I wanted him to be able to be up there to be with his daughters and grandkids. And so I stayed down here. And so I said, so, Lord, now what am I going to do? You know, it was kind of scary being down here by myself as she continued to get worse. And I thought I was just doing some of my own study. And then I thought maybe I'd write a Bible study about this maybe sometime down the road. And then I had always wanted to write a book since I was about since about third or fourth grade. And wrote a play in sixth grade, and it just
so cool.
I was editor-in-chief of my high school newspaper.
Wow.
Half a century ago almost. The age thing again.
Yeah.
So I started writing the book when Mom was alive, and one of the benefits of Alzheimer's, you always try to find some of the, you know, the good. Chuck is sneaking in. The man is here. He's sneaking in.
Oh.
He's taking a picture.
He's trying to get in on your interview.
Okay, well, I'm going to make him come over and just say hi, because Andrea, just for Phil and everybody listening, so Andrea got to hear my husband's voice after 50 years of broadcasting. So come on, honey.
He has got nice broadcasting.
As long as I don't have to be on camera, that's fine. It's all of radio people don't belong on camera.
Sometimes, but I saw photos of you. You're fine. Show that handsome face of yours. Ah, there he is. Oh, love happy marriages. That's so awesome.
He chronicles everything. He's really the love of my life. So let's see, where was I? Well, about writing the book, and so one of the benefits of Alzheimer's. See, I even got back.
Yes.
That's good when I'm talking about Alzheimer's.
I can't do that. So good.
Oh, I always can go. Don't I wish? But the one nice thing is Sunday afternoons, because I've continued to work through all of this. I'm a paralegal for a patent firm, and so I was scrambling this morning as well. But so Sundays were primarily my days where I could really have some time to write. And so after church, I would tell Mom, well, I can't stay with you. I've got to go home and do some more writing. And then I'd tell her again what the book is about. She said, oh, that's so great. Maybe our story can help somebody else.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I knew that I was on the right track. And so the book is about honoring her journey, honoring God, honoring other families and people who are impacted. 5.6 million Americans. I don't remember what the international numbers are, but 5.6 million Americans have Alzheimer's currently, right here, right now. And they say roughly there'll be 3 caregivers for each person with Alzheimer's. And that doesn't include extended family. So my mom and my dad, I've lost an aunt, and I've lost a cousin. And I have friends who have lost loved ones, parents, and I also have a coworker who at the age of 50 lost her husband. He just passed away. He had early onset Alzheimer's. And we got to meet him. They live down in, she's still down in San Antonio in Texas. And so we got to meet both of them face to face. And, you know, it's a tough journey. So I've really been impacted by it. So to be able to create this story, this book, to be able to help some of those 20 million people really right now in the U.S. who are impacted by this disease, and to show that God still provides a light in this tunnel of darkness. And the one thing that I got frustrated, I felt that God kept leading the way for me for each chapter. I mean, I knew which beatitude and which fruit of the Spirit I was combining. And then I'd kind of wait on God to show me, what do you want me to talk about in this chapter? And all of them were done. And it's like, Lord, why? What do you want me to do? It's supposed to be wrapped up. And I was actually getting a little frustrated. And then Mom passed. And so then about 6 weeks later, I decided, well, I better go back and read a little bit of what I've written, to try to get my writing voice back.
Mm-hmm.
And I just was weeping, and God actually ministered to me through that to help me start to grieve, because you had brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
And then I knew how the final chapter was supposed to begin. The final chapter has the same paragraph as my first chapter. And I thought, only God can wrap it up that way. But in the book, you know, I honor Mom. She wanted the story told, and so it's told. But I talk about different techniques. Many people are familiar with the mirroring technique, where if you want someone to respond similar to yourself, you can aid in doing that, because they'll mirror how you present yourself to them. I guess that's the best way to describe it. So when Mom would be in a big tizzy, and so I discuss this in the book, I talk about forgiveness, I talk about family conflict, I talk about grieving, I talk about, you know, both from a secular and a faith-based, a Christian-based perspective. But here's one of those brain moments. I'm searching for what I'm going to say there. Help me, Andrea. Of course, you're the wrong one to ask.
The last chapter, and
Well,
just
yeah,
how
but
we kind of
they were
full
able
circle.
to fit in
I was
together.
going to ask you. You had mentioned that all you know, the stats of Alzheimer's in America, in the nation. Do you think that it's genetic, or do you think it's the environment that may? I was just reading that, and some, you know, scientists, you know, I mean, you can get the test to see if you're carrying the gene or anything like that, and it's just interesting to me, because when you're in different environments, like they always use that example. If they take one twin and they raise it somewhere, and they take the other twin, so they're your genetics, and you raise them in two different environments and two different things, that one ends up, you know, one could get it depending on the environment and the toxins that are in the air or whatever. What do you think?
I think it's a combination of both. There are other people in this particular development that have also developed Alzheimer's, so I don't know if it's something, you know, something in the ground physically. It's very rocky here, so there could be, I don't know, there could be radon, there could be other things here.
Because you're in Arkansas, right?
I'm in Arkansas. Yeah, the nickname. We had to actually
Arkansas.
dynamite my parents into their final resting place.
Oh no! Oh, that's horrible.
My dad would have. Not really, because my dad would have thought it was great. My dad was a police officer for 20 years, and he would have thought dynamiting for him was the way to go. So, you know, that would have been.
My dad just wanted to be put in Tupperware. So, you know, you're just so weird.
That's good. That's good. That's really good.
So your house was dynamited. Yeah.
So I think it's a real combination of things. About 3-4 years, or no, gosh, it's been 6 or 7 now. Wow. I decided to go gluten-free, and I feel better about it. I've since found out that's one of the things a person can do that maybe will stave off some of the plaques and tangles that can develop in the brain. I try to stay aware of answers to that question, as well as what are some of the early tests. But I do think environment makes an impact. I think genetics make an impact. I think a lifestyle makes an impact, meaning the kind of exercise, brain exercise, physical exercise, having emotional stability, having you know, exercise routines, and quality food, organics. For me, going gluten-free, avoiding alcohol. I've heard some reports, so I might be taking some of your favorite foods away. Yeah. However, coffee in moderation is a good thing. Yes. So drink away. For those, I'm not going to take that away from anybody.
That's good.
So there's a real combination. So on days when I'm really stressed at work, the one thing I look at is at least I've exercised my brain today. Because I am, you know, my husband and I are a little nervous with both my parents. Yes. Now, my aunt is not my biological aunt, but still someone, you know, that I've known. But to lose both my parents puts me at an increased risk. Yes. So I'm starting to pay a lot more attention to my weight. to my lifestyle, to the things I put into my body, the things I put into my mind, making sure that as many components of my physical, mental, and spiritual being are in the best shape that I can possibly do. I can't change my genetics, but I can change those things that maybe will help me not have to get the disease or can certainly postpone it. But there's a new blood test that's looking promising. There's in fact, one of the opticians here within 20 miles of my house has a 3D retinal scanner. And these retinal scanners are able to now see the plaques, and would be able to see the plaques and tangles.
That is amazing.
What I was reading is they give you turmeric pills, curcumin, turmeric, because it helps light it up. But this doctor won't do it. He has the technology. He and I have had conversation about it. And he said because that's not his primary gig, he'd hate to misdiagnose somebody.
Yeah, I can understand
So
that.
he's got the technology to tell me what things are looking like in my eyes, but he won't do that. And I'm not sure. So I'm going to ask you a question. If there was a test, and there are many in progress, and I think in our lifetime there's going to be a reliable test. There might even be a vaccine. They're working on that too.
Amazing research.
If you do the test, would you want to know?
I would want to know just for the mere fact to see if I passed it to my children.
Yeah.
So just the, just to make sure that they're okay. And then I think that your life path would be a little bit different if you did know. You would make other choices if you did know, to prevent it, those exercises and stuff. I know my mother-in-law does the Sudoku exercises. She was a physician, and she has a fear of that happening as well. And so I would want to know, just to see if I was carrying that gene, that maybe if I passed it on to my children. But that's me. I don't know. I mean, you had both parents that were affected by this disease.
And so I'm kind of afraid to know that, because I think it would change my life too much. Would you be? I would hope that I'd be able to embrace the quality time I have left and really take advantage of that. But there's that other side of what if I don't embrace it?
Yes.
What if it negatively has an impact? But right now, one more thing I was going to say about the whole genetic part of it, they typically have said that with early onset, which there's people with Alzheimer's as young, there are people as early as in their 30s, or I think they've got somebody in their 20s, but typically it's prior to 50. And so since I'm over 50, I don't have the early onset, which means the genetic portion of my parents is probably not going to be in play. They both had regular or late onset Alzheimer's. Their symptoms didn't show up until their 70s. So, assuming the research is true, but that's what I've heard. So, and the regular Alzheimer's usually doesn't manifest. Usually, there are plenty of people who do get it in their 60s, but will usually manifest more in the 70s, or at least that's what I've seen in my parents and many others. So I figure I'm kind of in this lull. Okay, so I'm too old for early onset and too young for the other. So I'm going to live my life. And I think that's one thing that plays into me of where I wouldn't want it right now.
Yes.
My kids would like me to do it.
Yes.
But
because they want to know. Yeah. Well, I think that's a good takeaway, that you're just going to live each day to the fullest, and people, I'm a planner. I'm not a very spontaneous person. And I'm very, very methodical and very, scheduled and strategic in that way. But that is an awesome takeaway. And as I'm looking at the clock, now we had our full 30 minutes because we started late. So I just wanted to give everybody an opportunity to get a full 30 minutes of you and your wonderful book and your story. And I ordered your book, and I want to tell everybody to go. You can get it on Amazon, and it is called
Undefeated Innocence.
Undefeated Innocence. And I cannot wait to get it and read it. And I'm going to call you and talk to you about it because
good.
And
Would love to.
what a lovely journey and kind of a history book of your mother.
And another place people can find is at my website, regiftedgrace.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Cheryl, for spending your morning with me. And I loved seeing Chuck, and tell him hello and goodbye for me. And I will chat with you soon. Thank you
All
so
right,
much for joining.
Andrea. Thanks, everybody.
Have a great day. Okay. Bye-bye. All right, everyone. I am so sorry I went over the time, but I went over the time because it took so long to get her on, and her story and her change in her life was so important that I wanted you all to hear about it. So thank you so much for tuning in and watching me today. I hope you enjoyed the interview. I hope you enjoyed Cheryl. She is such a wonderful, kind, lighthearted person, and has gone through a lot and was able to share with you her story. I hope you were able to take away some things. I was able to take away lots of things. The question she asked was pretty deep, and it really made me think, and I would want to know. So have a great day, have a fabulous weekend, and I will see you next Friday with another guest. And I am Andrea Kilpatrick, your Mrs. Globe Classique 2019, signing off. Changes with transitions. Thank you. Transitions of grace. Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a great day.